Hey guys, so you decided to install laminate in your home, and the choice of laminate is Pergo Outlast. If you're not sure how to cut angles and how to cut rips in around toilet bowls, stick around. We're going to be going over that in this video right here, coming up. Hey guys, welcome back to YOUFLOOR, the channel dedicated to bringing the average DIYer the latest flooring tips and tricks to help you with your next flooring project. Today we're going to be installing Pergo Outlast. Pergo Outlast is a water resistant product, but it is still a laminate product. There are many products out there that are water resistant / waterproof. The only thing that I've actually come across that would actually be considered waterproof is going to be more along the lines of your vinyl planks, because those are not made out of laminate. Now, even though this laminate is considered water resistant, you're still going to have to be careful, but it is a whole lot more forgiving than just regular laminate. I'm not going to waste any time because I know you guys came to see how to install this laminate. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it, so we're just going to jump right in. You guys can see how the project goes. If you do have any questions, don't forget to leave those in the comments and I'll be glad to answer those. And before I get started, if you guys wouldn't mind, if you like videos like this, please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I put out videos like this, as well as giving it a big ol' thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. That will help the channel grow and push it out to other people. Sometimes people need to be notified. Anyway, thanks so much for the support so far, guys, and I look forward to future videos with you. So let's not waste any time and dive right in. Okay, so to start with, the first thing, we have to get rid of the shoe mold, or quarter round, whatever you have. Make sure you cut the caulk line on the top of the shoe mold. This will help prevent from peeling any paint off the baseboards. Next, this vinyl has to go. If this vinyl had been glued down good, I would have just left it, but loose lay vinyl can be a problem later on. Next, I cut the door jambs, and I did it 3 ways so you guys can see. Once with a power saw, and also if you have an oscillating tool, you can also cut door jambs with that. It works very great, but it takes a little longer than a power tool. Speaking of taking longer, if you don't have either of these tools, a good old-fashioned handsaw will work just fine with a board laid down and laid flat against the jambs. This is a miter gauge / angle finder, and I use it to cut miters, but on this specific application, I use it to find the angle to be 30 degrees. Also, I grab my speed square and I move it over to 30 degrees, and that gives me the perfect angle for cutting this piece of laminate. Now that I have the right angle marked, I like to click a random piece in temporarily and push it up where it's going to be. This literally gives me a visual of what the board shape will be, and also gives me a reference to pull all my measurements from for a perfect fit. The line I'm marking here indicates the amount I need to cut off the back to slip it into this small angled area. And where the 2 points meet is where the short point of my 30-degree angle is. So I measure from the short point to the end of the wall. Don't forget, add a ½ inch here for expansion gap. I made it a little bigger this time. I'll explain in a minute. I moved my 30-degree angle over about 1/4 inch, and I angled it at the top about 3 inches. This will allow me to slip it completely under the door jamb while still maintaining an expansion gap. That's why we went a little bit bigger on the end. These arrows will indicate where I need to actually cut. Any visible Sharpie marks can be wiped up with 100% acetone. One quick tip people aren't aware of: when using a jigsaw, try to keep the area that you're cutting close to whatever you're using as a table, and keep the plate on the bottom tight and flat on the material. This will keep the jigsaw from bouncing around in the material. And now for the other side. Again, I click a spare board at the top, and there lays all of the measurements I need to take. I won't bore you with all the same instructions. I'll just simply run through it at superhuman speed and go cut it for installation. BRB. With the first 2 planks installed, I'm pretty much home free. Knowing that my angle is 30 degrees, I can always cut my starter on a 30-degree angle and then mark the end on a 30-degree angle where my stop line is at the doorway. Now, I don't know about you, but I like that. I'm also not mad at that at all. Alright guys, you made it through the tough part. I'm going to go ahead and knock out the rest of these angles, and when we get to something hard like the sidewall or the toilet, we'll jump back in with some instructions. Stay tuned. Alright, you guys know the deal. Click a spare board in at the top so you can get all your measurements. The spare board I clicked at the top of this one though, that's the one I'm actually going to be using, so I can mark all my measurements on that and draw it out and see it before I actually cut it. And you can visually see when I have it all marked out how it looks like the piece of plywood that is in the middle of all of these planks. I noticed earlier when we were marking our other board that the edge of this one would land right in the middle of our supply line, so that was perfect. When it comes to marking planks up against cabinets or walls, grab a scrap piece and cut the groove off the top. Then line up the plank that's going to go in the spot with the sides and with the plank right up underneath it. Then grab your piece and grab a Sharpie or whatever you're using to mark and slide it across. This makes for a perfect fit with a 1/4 of an inch expansion gap. Now I know there are neat ways to do this with a compass and scribing and all that, but to be honest with you, I just haven't ever been by the hardware store and went like, oh yeah, the compass, remember, buy that. So when I'm on the job, I just grab a piece of tape and I tape it across the toilet hole, and I'm able to mark the center of it. They're generally 7 inches, so I just go 3.5 one way and 3.5 the other way. And then I'm able to pull off the square end of my other plank to the center of the toilet flange, and then pull off the other edge back to the center. This gives me the perfect measurements for marking the center of my toilet hole. I like to take the 2 pieces that are going to be going in that slot and click them together before I draw the complete circle. And now for the controversial part. Yes, I could probably go get a compass if I could remember to buy one like I said. And you could also use a speed square. But I've been doing this for so long, I generally just grab my tape measure and swing it around, and it's always worked out for me. So that's just how I do it. One more thing, you need to mark where the supply line is going to go for the other half of the little tiny circle. And using our scrap piece scribing trick, we were able to cut the perfect rip to finish this floor off. You guys know the deal. I like to go into another room and get some more floor started while Kelly comes in and seals it up with silicone and installs all the quarter round. Then while she's installing quarter round in the other rooms, I come back and finish off the transitions. I'm back. First things first, get a measurement across this doorway. Then, go cut the transition. Now I cut a small piece of U-channel and a small piece of T-mold because I wanted to show you, if you just set it in there, it's not going to grab it. It's a little bit too low. But these little plastic things that they send in the package, as you can see, sometimes you can slip the U-channel right down into the U of the plastic thing and it's a perfect fit. And as you can see, even though I've patted it up a little bit, it's still not high enough to reach the T-mold. So here's an idea. I flip the U over and it builds it up about 1/4 of an inch. Remember, this thing is going to grab the T-mold and pull it tight to the floor. You just need to make sure that it is going to grab. You don't have to sink these screws down real tight. Remember, you don't want to squish the black piece of spacer down. You want it to be able to build it up so that our T grabs it. This side is a little tight, so it's going to need a notch. The other side, I can probably just slip it right up underneath the casing. Here, make sure you're sealing off both sides of the laminate. That's where the water resistant / waterproof comes into play. Now just make sure to wipe up any excess silicone, and remember, you can always get any residue off with 100% acetone. You can get this stuff at the dollar store, really cheap. Make sure it says 100% acetone. Well, there you go. I think it turned out pretty great. The installation was very easy. This Pergo Outlast goes together pretty simple and is very DIY friendly. I have a video coming up to show you how to get all these miters cut really tight. Well, there you have it. There's the installation of Pergo Outlast. That's a laminate product. And also we went through some steps on how to cut angles, how to cut rips, and how to cut around toilet bowls. If there's any more questions, don't forget to leave those in the comments. And as I mentioned before, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button and that subscribe button, I would appreciate it. I hope I brought you guys some value, or at least you learned something that you can use on your next flooring project. And until then, take care, stay safe. Peace.